Members of the committee, kia ora koutou. I'm presenting to you today in my capacity as Junior Vice President of PPTA Te Wehingarua. I'm a chemistry teacher and I'm speaking on behalf of our 21,000 plus members in secondary and area schools across New Zealand. And I want to start today by addressing a simple fact, which is that the New Zealand public education system is already among the most flexible, innovative and autonomous on the face of the earth. That is a simple fact. So the notion that charter schools are needed to introduce innovation and flexibility into our public schools is not only a red herring, it is false. And despite what you may hear, PPTA and our members are supportive of innovation, of flexibility and of autonomy for schools, and we support properly considered mechanisms to make this possible. I want to start by sharing with you our disappointment at how badly this bill has been drafted, likely due to the rushed nature of the process. This is evidenced not only by the contents of the bill, but by the fact that such late amendments had to be added to it. This bill, mostly highlighted by those late amendments through the amendments, is an attack on the terms and conditions of the profession and is an outrageous breach of existing employment law. We're also disappointed that select committee hearings have been so limited, and I know many teachers, including myself in my personal capacity, who have been unable to speak to you as the majority of times offered have been during the school day. And particularly disappointing is that the Secondary Principals Council has been unable to make an oral submission to you on this bill. Now, our Māori Vice President will be presenting to you later today, and she will speak more fulsomely on the matter of Te Tiriti o Waitangi. But first, let me say to you all that as a founding document and as a matter of law, Te Tiriti o Waitangi does matter. And so we are appalled that Section 127 has not been included in the bill as a required charter school contract provision. As we've stated in our submission, it seems particularly jarring when we hear the words tino rangatiratanga or partnership. So why should this apply to state schools but not to charter schools equally? Now, the matter of conversions of state schools is probably one of the most egregious for our members for a number of reasons. And the first is the ability for a single member of the community to make an application to convert a state school to a charter. What this community member kind of means is very poorly defined, but essentially any one person in a community can, with the support of the board, authorisation board, take control of a public school. We would like to see this at a minimum changed to being a petition process by at least 10% of the parents in the school community to trigger that process. And where any attempt to convert is unsuccessful, we'd like to see a cool down period between these takeover bids to ensure some stability. Secondly, the notion that the minister can direct a school to convert with, quote, absolute discretion is an arbitrary and unwarranted use of ministerial power. There is no further information as to what factors might be considered to warrant such an intrusion on the autonomy of our schools. Schools should, at a minimum, know the criteria by which they might be subjected to this disruption. The proposed conversion provisions also eliminate teachers' employment protections, and the last-minute removal of the ability for unions to initiate multi-employment collective agreements not only breaches international law, but will have the opposite effect than that which is intended. The notion that school leaders getting further into the minutiae of individual employment agreements is the magic sauce that will improve student achievement in this country sounds preposterous because it is preposterous. A good, agreed employment process isn't something to fear across many schools. Instead, it creates certainty and safety for all, allowing innovation to occur where it's actually needed, which is at teaching and learning. We also recommend that the national curriculum be taught in charter schools. Internationally, the evidence is clear that many charter schools focus on an extremely stripped back curriculum where rote learning and teaching to the test in its narrowest form is taking place. It is these charter schools where the staff are not necessarily qualified and certified who are more likely to resort to these practices, as their staff will not be required to have a familiarity with the subject matter at hand or of the science of learning. For the most part, our certified teachers have a minimum of 4 years training, including a subject specialism at university, followed by a 1-year graduate diploma in secondary teaching. Initial teacher education is not just about what you teach, but it's about how you teach it and why. Considering that there are already multiple and proliferating ways to get a teacher in front of our students through teacher education, choosing to circumvent them all is not the way to improve standards in education. And the new category of limited authorities to teach, or LATs for charter schools, is also something I wish to raise with you all. First of all, of course, it's in the name, limited. The ability to appoint underqualified and uncertified people into classrooms on a permanent basis is quite frankly ridiculous. The fact that these staff will not be held to the same standards of behaviour and competence as certified teachers is not just ridiculous, but potentially dangerous. Without the benefit of teacher training and the guardrails put in place by the Teaching Council, and with the possibility that there may be no experienced teachers in a charter school, the chances of these staff being involved in disciplinary matters is increased, something we would all like to avoid seeing. LAT positions are meant to be a gap filler, not a way to circumvent the professional training and registration of our teaching workforce. Again, surely nobody actually thinks that student achievement is being held back because our registered teachers are being held to too high a standard, but that is precisely what this bill implies. Now, our teachers are in the profession for many reasons, but the students are at the heart of all decisions. We are a member-led union and we help shape the education system and influence education policies through our advocacy work on the basis of evidence and practical experience. Along with our teachers, our 21,000 plus members, we believe in a quality public education system, including provisions for innovation, flexibility and autonomy. That would be a system that provides a quality education for all, regardless of postcode and other socioeconomic factors. And so, to the members of the committee, I urge you all to consider the recommendations in our written submission alongside what I have told you today. Kia ora.
Okay, that's wonderful. The first question we have is from Jan Tanetti.
Kia ora, and thanks Kieran for that very passionate and very good submission that PPTA has put through to us. You heard me ask the question to NZEI, Te Reo Roa. I'm quite keen to get your opinion around the thought that's been put out there that unions are, their opposition to this bill is for their own self and selfish reasons. Again, I'm just putting it out there because I've been a passionate educator and union member, that's not my opinion, but I want to know what your response to that is.
Yeah, so what I would say very clearly in response to that is that if government had approached us and said, we want to work with you to find ways to make our state school system more innovative, flexible, they would have an ally in us. So we are not opposed to this on the basis of protecting a patch, protecting a turf, or protecting the way things have always been. That is not something that we stand for. However, I want to make it very plain that teachers, secondary teachers, are appalled at the idea that the basic guardrails that keep our state education system held in at least a minimum of regard among the public and parents and students are to be removed for what are essentially, as far as we can tell, purely political reasons. The basis of evidence on which charter schools are supposed to improve student achievement, that evidence is flimsy at best. We've seen plenty of evidence that at best they perform the same as state education systems around the world.
Yeah.
And we've seen as well in the New Zealand experiment with charter schools that they performed at best no better than the public education system as a whole, and have been perfectly adequate as designated character schools, which is a category of school of which we're very supportive. So it's certainly not about us, but it is about student achievement and the very, we think, straightforward and basic guardrails that are there to protect students, their safety and their achievement in school.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Grant McCallum.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your very passionate submission. You make your first recommendation very much focuses around Te Reo Waitangi and the concept of rangatiratanga. What do you say to Raewyn Tiffany of Te Kapu Whetū, who wants to deliver for her community school based on and says, for me, this is about tēnā rangatiratanga and Maori and having their own control over their own community, working with their own community. What do you say to them?
Yeah, thanks. Look, I think that my response to that would be what could be achieved, what couldn't be achieved as a designated character school that can be achieved as a charter school, other than, are we really saying that tino rangatiratanga, that massive concept is contained in school leaders being able to dive into the absolute weeds of individual employment agreements with every single teacher? That to me seems
100%.
pretty laughable. However, the autonomy and flexibility offered by designated character status, I would agree that would probably help them to work with their community and exercise their tino rangatiratanga. But I think the charter school model offers nothing additional than what a designated character school doesn't already offer in that space of tino
So you're
rangatiratanga.
saying that she's wrong? what she says there.
I'm
Because
saying
that's
that-
effectively what, she says that she needs a charter school to be able to
I'm
deliver
saying
that,
there is
but
a-
you're saying that she's wrong.
I'm saying there's a pathway that already exists that could be made
Clearly she
available to them.
differs.
Thank you very much for making yourselves available to us this afternoon. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.